Okay, so good morning, friends. In today's session, we will see the advanced version of perceptron learning, or it is also called as the best linear classifier amongst all, which is called as the support vector machine. So, support vector machine is also a kind of perceptron which tries to classify the input instances into two classes, provided that the data is linearly separable. And in yesterday's session, we have seen if the data is linearly separable, then the linear classifier which classifies this data is called as perceptron. Okay, and we have also seen that the perceptron algorithm or perceptron classifier, it has ability to adjust or update its weight in order to correctly classify the misclassified instances or data points. Well, I have given you the multi-class classification problem on yesterday. How many of you have solved it? So what is the accuracy? Can anybody unmute the mic? Can anybody unmute the mic? Tell me the accuracy. What is the accuracy of the multi-class classifier? Yes? Any guess? Okay, tell me total number of instances correctly classified by the multi-class classifier. So what is the value of TP1? Nobody had solved it? Okay, I'll do one thing. I'll just show you what was given to us. So this is our C1, C2 and C3. So the first problem which was given to us was 20, 20, 20. Then it was 40, 30 and 20. And the last column has the values 20, 20 and 60. So let's take, we know that this column, it is the prediction and these are the actual class. So we'll try to represent this N1 cap, N2 cap and N3 cap, the total of this column, and we'll also represent this N1, N2 and N3. That is the sum of each of the row. Okay, so if we take, then N1 cap value will be 60, then this will be 90 and this will be 100. So this will be 80, this will be 70 and this will be 100 again. So if you take the sum of this or sum of this, it will come to 50. Now first we'll try to find out the accuracy of the class. So accuracy of the multi-class classifier, it will be calculated as TP1 plus TP2 plus TP3 divided by N. So this is the value of N. We know that what is the value of TP1? It is 20. So 20. Then TP2 is 30 and TP3 is 60. So divided by 250. So which gives me the answer 0.44, which is equivalent to 44%. So 44% is the accuracy of this multi-class classifier. Then if this is the accuracy, then we know what is the error rate. So error rate is always 1 minus accuracy. So which gives me the error rate to be 56% or 0.56. Okay, now the next question which I had asked is calculate the precision per class. So in fact we have to calculate the precision of every class. Though we have 3 classes, first we'll try to find out the precision of class C1. And I have already told you the formula to calculate the precision of class C1 is TP1 divided by N1 cap. So TP1 is 20 and N1 cap is 60. So that gives me the answer 33%. So 33.33 just 33.33% is the precision for class 1. Same way we will also calculate the precision for class 2, which is TP2 divided by N1 cap 2. So that gives me the answer. So this is TP2 30 divided by N2 cap is 90. Again, I will get the answer 33.33% is the precision for class 3. Then we'll calculate the precision for class 3. So TP3 divided by N3 cap, which gives me the answer. So TP3 value is 60. 60 divided by N3 cap is 100. That gives me the answer 60%. So I have calculated the precision of each of these class C1, C2 and C3. But apart from this, I have also asked you calculate the overall precision for the multi-class classifier. It will be, so P is calculated as, you can call it as P1, P2 and P3. So we have calculated the precision per class. Now the overall precision for the multi-class classifier will be P1, P2, P3 divided by total number of output labels. Total number of output labels are 3. So if you calculate it, 33.33, 33.33 plus 60 divided by 3, which gives you the overall precision of this class multi-class classifier as 42%. Now if this is the case, then can you calculate the recall? I'll just tell you the formula to calculate the recall. So recall is calculated as, recall for class C1 is calculated as TP1 divided by N1. So this is my N1. This value represents N1. So can you calculate the recall for each class and then overall recall for the multi-class classifier? Calculate it and tell me the answer in the chat box. Tell me the answer in the chat box. So everything is shown. You're supposed to calculate the recall. This is the formula to calculate the recall. So recall is, so the recall for the first class, class C1. No, yeah, right. So the recall for the class C1 will be the true positive rate of class 1, that is 20 divided by N1. The value of N1 is 80, which gives me the answer 25% or 0.25, which is equivalent to 25%. Okay, that's right. Now can you calculate the recall for the second class, class 2, C2? Good. That is 42.8%. That's others are, also expected to give the answer. I want the answer from everyone. Don't copy and paste it. Don't mind if your answer is wrong. Yeah. The recall for the second class is 42.8, whereas the recall for the class 3 is 60%. Now, can you tell me the overall recall for the multi-class classifier? Overall recall for the multi-class classifier. I want the answer from everyone. Usually what we do in binary classification, the precision is calculated as TP divided by TP plus FP, that is true positive plus false positive, right? But now this is the multi-class classification problem. So instead of getting into TP and false positive and false negative, we are taking the N cap and N value, that is the total of row and the total of column. Okay, so this will be used to calculate the precision and recall. So if I take this example, then this value and this value will give me the false negative, the row total will give me the false negative, and the column total will give me the false positive for the class C1. And rest of these entries, this matrix, okay, this will be my true negative. Remember, these are the true negative. The same way, for this second class, for this TP2, this give me the false positive for second class, and this row total will give me the false negative. And apart from this two row and this row and column, this second row and second column, rest of the values will be considered as true negative for the class 3. The same way for class 3, this third column and third row, this gives me the false positive for the class 3, whereas this gives me the false negative for class 3. Now apart from this third row and third column values, rest of the values will be considered as true negative for the class 3. And that's how we calculate the precision and recall. Once we know the false positive and false negative, then we can easily calculate the precision. So the overall recall for the class is, right, it's 42.6. So plus minus 0.2% are allowed, don't mind. So it depends on your computation of your calculator. So 42.6 plus 2 minus 2 are okay. So that is the overall recall for the multi-class classifier. So that's it. Now we can move to our point, our next topic. Okay, so that is basically a linear classifier, support vector machine. Well, we know that the linear classifier or perceptrons are one of the linear classifier. They are used to perform the classification of 2 points, right? So sorry, not 2 points, 2 classes. Okay, usually we consider one class as the positive class and another class as the negative class. Okay. So consider this problem as the binary classification problem, in which these instances represented are belong to positive class and these instances are belong to negative class. Well, if this data points or this sample data, if we consider that they are linearly separable, then we can build a perceptron, we can construct a perceptron classifier which can perform the classification of these input instances. So we get the decision boundary, right? So how would we classify this data? We can have a simple perceptron that separates these points into two classes. So this class will be positive and this will be negative. Now let's draw a perceptron. So this is the perceptron that we have achieved, which successfully separated these 2 points, or which performs the classification. Now my question is that to all of you, is it only the perceptron that can separate these points into 2 classes? Give me the answer. You can unmute your mic because I am in presentation mode. Is it only the way to separate this input instances into 2 classes? Is it the only perceptron that we can have? Can we have a different perceptron than this? Any guess? Answer the question, unmute your mic. My question is, this is the perceptron that we have drawn and it successfully performed the classification of these 2 points. They have separated these 2 categories of points, data points. Now my question is that, is it only the perceptron that we can construct? Are there any? Yes, somebody is asking.
There can be maybe a bit more other functions, which may variate, very less.
Oh,
From
okay.
this.
Right. So you are actually absolutely right. So we can have a different classifier than this, which also, or different perceptron than this, which can also perform the classification of this data points. So let's see that I have changed. I have drawn this classifier or the perceptron. I have constructed this perceptron which performs the classification of these 2 points, the 2 categories or 2 classes. Well, now this is the only case? No, we can have some different perceptron like this. We can have n number of perceptrons that actually performs the classification of these input instances. Now, any of these would be fine. But now the question is that because all these classifier, all these perceptrons, they performs the classification correctly, right? So all the positive points are classified as positive by this classifier and all the negative points are classified as negative. Fine. But now my question is that, or my problem is that, how do I choose the best perceptron or the best classifier out of this, right? So support vector machine is the answer to this question. Whenever you have a multiple perceptron and you have a question that which one to select, or how to choose the best perceptron or the best classifier. So support vector machine will give you the solution for this problem. So what we will do is, we will create a margin for each of the classifier. So define the margin for a linear classifier as the width that the boundary could be increased by before hitting a data point. Okay, so how do we create the margins? So we create a margin of a classifier as a width of the, this classifier, this solid black line which is mentioned in between this yellow line. Okay, so this yellow line is basically the width of this decision boundary. Okay, and this decision boundaries is the margin to this decision boundary is increased till we hit any sample points on both the side, that is on the positive class side as well as on the negative class side. So we have increased the margin of this decision boundary till we hit this point, until we hit this negative instance in the negative class. Well, that's fine. So SVM, support vector machine, it constructs a stable binary classifier which does not change due to arrival of new points near to the decision boundary. That's what we have seen. Yesterday we have constructed a perceptron, and then when we have introduced a new test point, then again that test point will be misclassified by the perceptron, and in that case we update the weight of perceptron, we construct a new perceptron which correctly classify that test point. Again, when we introduce a new point, again that perceptron will misclassify it, and again we update the weight of perceptron so that we try to classify that misclassified point correctly. So that means every time when misclassification happens, we have to construct a new perceptron that will correctly classify the misclassified instances, and that's what a perceptron we have studied. Well, now this is not the case with the support vector machine. Okay, so support vector machine is also called as the maximum margin classifier. Okay, where the decision boundary has the margin on both the side. Okay, so what is the maximum margin? So support vector machine is actually try to create a decision boundary, or support vector machine actually tries to find the perceptron which has maximum margin on both the side of class. Okay, which has the maximum margin on the positive side as well as maximum margin on the negative side. So support vector machine will give us the perceptron which has maximum margin on both the side of classes, right? So this is the simplest kind of support vector machine, and hence it is called as linear support vector machine. So if you observe this figure with respect to this figure, here you can find that this decision boundary has a better or the maximum margin on both the sides, and because of this, support vector machine is also called as maximum margin classifier. Now, why to create the maximum margin classifier, that we will discuss now. Now, for example, we have decided that okay, fine, this support vector machine or this decision boundary is very good because it performs the correct classification. But if you observe these points, let me take a pen so that I can pinpoint it. So if you observe this point and this point, they are actually correctly classified, but they are very close to the decision boundary, which is indicated with this black color. Okay, because the margin that this classifier has very minimum or very small margin. Okay, and because of this, there is a maximum chances that we may misclassify this point with the small noise or with the small error. These 2 points, they will be there is a high chances that this decision boundary will misclassify these 2 points into another class. Okay, so if any small noise or error is induced on this negative class, that will push this point on the other side of the classifier. It may be classified as a positive point, whereas any small noise or error induced in this positive class may misclassify this point into the negative class. Okay, though the decision boundary presently it is correctly classifying this instance, but we cannot guarantee that. There may be some noise present in your machine learning model. There may be some error, okay, which is induced, which actually pushes this point onto the other side. So I think in the first lecture of machine learning, I have explained you what is the support vector machine. So let us imagine that this is the highway. This is, as I already given this example, this is the Mumbai Agra highway. Now let's say that one of your friend is standing very close to this Please bear my drawing. I'm not good at it. Okay, who is standing very close to this, highway. Now, a wind is blowing at, let's say that 1,000 km/h may pushes your friend to this highway, or may pushes your friend on the other side of this highway, and there is a high chances of getting accident, right? Similarly, if you are another, let's say that this is a girl who is standing here. So again, any small error, or any, or you can say that the wind is blowing at, let's say that 5,000 km/h. Okay, so again, there may be the chances that this girl will get pushed to the other side of the highway, or she may be, she may, have accident, right? So if this is the case, now if imagine that we have created some service road to this highway. This is the service road on the either side of this highway, and now let's say that your friend is standing here, or this friend is standing here. Now, even though the wind is blowing at a very higher speed, there is a less chances that this friend, this guy, will be pushed on the other side of the highway, or this guy will be pushed on the highway, so that there may be the chances of accident, right? So do you got it? So whenever we have the decision boundary, we will create a margin on either side of this decision boundary, so that we are trying to avoid the misclassification of the instances which are very close to this decision boundary. So that is what the use of support vector machine. This is a simple concept. So SVM uses the concept of margin on both the side. So this reduces a infinite number of perceptron binary classifiers, in fact, to some reduced number of binary classifier, right? So what we have is, now we have this classifier, and we have this classifier. We have these two perceptron, and we have decided to choose this perceptron because this perceptron has maximum margin. So the width of this decision boundary is maximum than the width of this decision boundary. Okay, so now we'll see the concept support vector machine. So support vector machine is again one kind of geometrical machine learning model, and it has many mathematical properties. So support vector machine is used for classification of instances in two classes, typically positive class and negative class. And the support vector machine, it is represented by three characteristics. One is the decision boundary, other is the support vector, and third is the margin. So first we'll see the decision boundary. So this black solid line which is represented here, it is called as decision boundary. Okay, then support vector. Now which are the support vectors? So the point which are very close to the decision boundary, or to the, we can say that the margin of the decision boundary, these points are called as the support vector. So which are indicated here. So this point, and this point, they are typically called as support vectors, and support vector are those data points that which are very close to your margin, or that pushes the margin against the class region. Okay, so these points, these data samples are called as support vectors of this support vector machine. Okay, now let's go ahead. So now why the maximum margin? So intuitively, this feels safest because if we have made a small error in the location of the boundary, this gives us the least chance of causing a misclassification of data instances. So even if we have made a small error on this class region, so it gives us a least chances that this point, this positive instance which is close to this decision boundary will get misclassified. Whereas because of this maximum margin, we have a least chance that these two negative class instances, they will get misclassified to positive class instances. Okay. So any doubt up till now why the maximum margin is required? Why we call the support vector machine as the maximum margin classifier or simply a margin classifier? Any doubt till now? So we'll take a break of 2 minutes so that you can ask the questions. Any questions? You can type in the chat box. Then I will go further because next part is mathematical part where I need your attention.
No doubt, sir.
No doubt. Okay. Anyone else? Mansi? Mansi Bora? Unmute your mic. Mansi, if I am audible to you. Utkarsha Vadavne. Renu Aswani. Rupali Davle. Shivam Dumbre. Unmute your mic. If you have any problem, please let me know. Otherwise, I will proceed further. Okay, I think you do not have any problem. So I will resume with my presentation. Well, now we mathematically represent the decision boundary and the margins of the decision boundary. Okay, so let me take a pen. Okay, so the decision boundary of a support vector machine, it is given or it is mathematically represented as T is equal to W into X. Okay, where T is some threshold according to which input instances is classified to positive class and negative class. So T is my threshold value. Okay, and based on this threshold value, we will perform the classification of given input instances to positive class and negative class. So for example, for any input instances, okay, let's say that xi, ti, so ti is the threshold. If it is equal to w into xi minus m. Okay, so in this case, this is the ti is the threshold value that we have calculated for xi. If it is less than our original threshold value, that is t, then in that case, this xi, this input instance will be classified to class negative, to this class. Are you getting? Where we are considering that m is any real number or it is the constant, it is a constant number, and w is what? W is the direction of these instances. So the line, so this is called as w. The line which is perpendicular to your decision boundary is always represented as w, and w is basically a weight of your decision boundary. So that decides the weight of your decision boundary. Well, This is one case. Now, for example, for any input instance, vector xi into ti, if it is equal to w into xi plus m, where ti is greater than t, then xi will be classified to the positive class. That is positive class. So this is very important. So what is w, what is xi, what is t? Okay, so ti is what we have calculated the threshold value for this input instance, and when we have compared this value ti with original value of t, that is the threshold value, if it is greater than, if this value is greater than this threshold, then we will classify the input instance to the positive class. If this value is less than t, then we will classify that input instance to negative class. So this is as simple as that. So feature vectors which are nearest to the decision boundary, as we have seen, they are also called as the support vectors. And support vectors, they are always belong to both, that is positive class and negative class. Now, for what purpose we are using this support vector machine, support vectors? So support vectors, they are used to define the margin of your SVM. How? That we will see now. Let me take a eraser just to erase this. Okay, I will keep this equation as it is. I will erase the rest of the part. So I have just last 2 minutes, 4 minutes remain. So I will quickly go and I will stop it here after this mathematical representation. So let's assume that m plus is the smallest distance of the support vector which is belonging to positive class. So this distance of positive margin will be represented as m plus. Okay, so m plus is the smallest distance of support vector belonging to the positive class and measured in the direction of w. So w is the line which is perpendicular to decision boundary, this black decision boundary. So this is my m plus. So m plus represents a smallest distance of support vector belonging to the positive class, and it is measured in the direction of this weight vector w. Okay, now similarly m minus is the smallest distance of the support vector which is belonging to the negative class and which is measured in the direction of weight vector w. So support vector machine, it tries to maximize the sum of m plus and m minus as large as possible, and therefore SVM is also called as maximum margin classifier. So what this SVM, this black line, this decision boundary is trying to do, this decision boundary is trying to take the sum of this m plus and m minus, thereby it tries to create the maximum margin on each of its side or on both the side. Okay, thereby the margin will be maximum, and hence the support vector machine is also called as maximum margin classifier. So the sum of m plus and m minus, it is independent of this threshold value t. That is very important because it is a nature of input instance. Therefore, SVM tries to adjust the weight w and hence in turn t, because we want m plus and m minus needs to be same, so that the distance on the positive side and the distance on the negative side, we want the equidistance parallel line to this decision boundary. If this is my decision boundary, then the margin to this decision boundary should be equidistance. So to make it equidistance, so as to make it m plus equal to m minus, the SVM tries to adjust this weight vector W. Okay, so the next objective of SVM is what? SVM tries to find the W and T, the weight vector W and the threshold value T, due to which the sum of the positive margin M plus and the negative margin M minus becomes maximum, as well as the positive margin and the negative margins become equal indirectly. Okay, so this M is actually the margin, whereas M plus is the margin on the positive class side, and M minus is the margin of the SVM on the negative class side, whereas M plus is equal to M minus, which is equal to M, right? So this M is again called as the margin, which gives me, so this is my M plus and this is my M minus, and together this M plus and M minus will give me the margin M. So that's it from today's lecture. In next lecture, we'll see that how the support vector machine problem, or this finding a maximum margin classifier, it enters into a minimization problem. Okay, so in the next lecture we'll see the minimization problem with respect to the maximum margin classifier, where we also see how to define the margins of the support vector machine as the smallest distance of support vector which are belonging to positive and negative class, because we know that the margin on the positive side and the margin on the negative class side, they are same, right? So where this M plus and M minus, these distances, they are measured in the direction of W. So mathematically, the margin of SVM is always given as M divided by weight vector W. Okay, which is the distance of support vector from decision boundary measured in the direction of W. Okay, so what is this? This is a margin. This is a mathematical representation of a margin of support vector machine. Okay, and this margin is the smallest distance of support vectors from the decision boundary in the direction of W. Okay, so that's it. If you have any doubt, I will take your doubts and then we'll stop. Do you have any doubts? Any doubts?
Sir?
Yes.
सर म्हणजे M प्लस आणि M मायनस हे दोघं इक्वलच असणार आहे का, की ते
Yes,
व्हेरिएशन
exactly.
करतात?
Ho, exactly. And that's how we are achieving the original margin of the decision boundary. We are
Okay.
taking the equidistance. Okay, the parallel lines, they are at the equidistance from the decision boundary. And to make it equidistance, त्या दोन्ही सेम डिस्टन्स वर त्या निगेटिव्ह क्लासची मार्जिन आणि पॉझिटिव्ह क्लासची मार्जिन क्रिएट करण्यासाठी आपण काय करतोय, आपला वेट वेक्टर डब्ल्यू जो आहे त्याला आपण ऍडजस्ट करतोय, सो दॅट the distance of margin on both the side will be at the same distance, and then we are representing it as a M plus and M minus. Got it?
Okay, sir. Yes.
And again, I mean, the question is that how do we perform the classification? We know the threshold value, we know the W, and we know the value of X. So T, threshold value T is calculated using W into X. We know the weight vector, we know the value of X. So we will calculate the T threshold value, and now this threshold value will be used to perform the classification of rest of the instances. So we will calculate the threshold value for each of the instance, and then we'll compare with our calculated threshold value T. Okay, so for example, what I mean here is, let me take a next slide which is blank. Okay, that's great. So I mean that Suppose this is the value of t is 0.5. Okay, then we'll calculate the value of xi and ti. So ti means what? This is the value of, let's say that we have x in x we have 3 instances. It is let me take a pen so that I can explain it. Let's say that you have in x you have 3 instances, x1, x2 and x3. Okay, so we will calculate for the x1. Okay, so t1 will be calculated as w into xi, that is x1, the value of x1 minus or plus m. Okay, so if this value is greater than this threshold value, sorry, let's say that this value comes 0.7. Now we know that the value of t1, that is 0.7, it is greater than t, that is 0.5. Then we'll classify x1 to positive class. If this value is less than t, if it is 0.4, then we'll classify this instance x1 to negative class. Got it, Shweta?
Yes, sir.
That's how we perform the classification. Actually, I'm going to explain it in the next lecture. We are running, so much late. So if there is any query, please ask me. Feel free to ask the questions. Mansi, actually, I have called you twice. Even Utkarsha.
Yes, sir. I had replied on the chat box, sir.
Okay. I have not seen the chat box. Anyways, no
Yes,
problem.
sir.
Do you understood?
Yes, sir. I understood. Sir, I just had one doubt that is it necessary that the threshold line should be symmetrical, like it should be in the middle of the graph?
No, that's how we will calculate the t value t, because the threshold value t, it is calculated from the decision boundary. We know the weight vector from the decision
On
boundary.
that basis.
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
Yes, sir, got it.
Got it. Okay. Because
Yes, sir.
this decision line, it is represented, this line is represented as t is equal to w into x, where t is threshold, w is my weight vector, that is line which is perpendicular to this decision boundary, and x is my input feature vector. Got it?
Yes, sir.
अगर आपको समझा नहीं है तो प्लीज डोंट हेजिटेट टू आस्क द क्वेश्चन. जब आप क्वेश्चन पूछोगे देन डिस्कशन हैपेंस. अगर आप सब लोग म्यूट करके गाने सुनोगे तो फिर देन इट बिकम्स वेरी डिफिकल्ट. Any doubt? So I conclude that you do not have any doubt. So thanks a lot for attention and listening the lecture patiently, and for interaction as well. See you soon on tomorrow with the minimization problem with respect to the support vector machine, as well as we will also see how mathematically this margins of positive class and the negative class are represented in support vector machine. Thank you. See you in the next online session. You can end this meeting now.